In recent years, NCAA women's basketball has experienced a surge in popularity, with two standout players, Caitlin Clark of Iowa and Paige Bueckers of UConn, leading the charge. Their talents, leadership, and competitive spirit have brought new visibility to the sport, drawing in record-breaking television audiences and increasing public interest. But amid the excitement and celebration, fans have started to notice an unsettling pattern. Caitlin Clark appears to be treated differently than her counterpart, Paige Bueckers. Across social media, sports talk shows, and even mainstream media, a chorus of voices has emerged calling attention to what some believe is an unequal level of scrutiny, praise, and overall treatment. This perceived disparity raises critical questions about how female athletes are portrayed, judged, and celebrated in the public eye. In this in-depth exploration, we will examine the roots of this comparison, highlight specific examples of treatment disparities, analyze possible reasons behind the perceived double standard, and consider the larger cultural and societal dynamics at play. The rise of two stars. Both Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers entered the college basketball scene with considerable fanfare. Paige Bueckers, a former Gatorade National Player of the Year, joined UConn with sky-high expectations and lived up to the hype almost immediately. In her freshman year, 2020 to 2021, she led her team in scoring, earned National Player of the Year honors, and became the face of a storied program. Caitlin Clark arrived at Iowa around the same time and took a different, but equally impactful route. With an electrifying style of play, deep shooting range, and eye-popping stats, Clark quickly became a fan favorite. She led the nation in scoring multiple seasons, broke NCAA records, and drew attention for her fiery demeanor on the court. While both athletes share the spotlight, their public receptions have been noticeably different. Comparisons spark debate. Fans first began noticing disparities when comparing how the media and fans reacted to similar behaviors or performances by the two stars. For example, confidence versus cockiness. When Clark displays her trademark confidence, pointing to the scoreboard, trash-talking opponents, or showing emotion, she's often labeled as cocky or disrespectful. In contrast, when Bueckers shows emotion, the reaction tends to be more sympathetic or celebratory. Criticism and praise. Clark has occasionally been the subject of harsh media criticism after losses or contentious moments, while Bueckers has been more shielded from similar scrutiny. Some fans argue that Bueckers is portrayed as the golden girl while Clark is painted as the villain. Media narratives. During the NCAA tournaments, Clark's dominant performances sometimes came with caveats or overshadowing narratives, such as focus on her opponent's stories or the controversies surrounding her gestures. Bueckers, meanwhile, has often been praised without as much scrutiny. These patterns are not just anecdotal. A content analysis of sports coverage, including ESPN broadcasts and sports blogs, supports the idea that the two players receive differing tones of coverage, even when achieving similar feats. Racial undertones in the discourse. It's important to note that both Clark and Bueckers are white players, which adds nuance to this conversation. Often, when discussions of differential treatment emerge in sports, racial bias plays a central role. In this case, the dynamic may be shaped more by perceived personality archetypes and narrative framing. Still, comparisons involving Clark and other Black athletes, such as Angel Reese or LSU's Flau'jae Johnson, have added complexity. Clark has sometimes been held up as a clean or respectable figure when compared to expressive Black athletes, which many observers find troubling. Ironically, some of the scrutiny Clark now receives from fans may be rooted in how the media and brands initially positioned her as the safe, marketable face of women's basketball. This creates a dynamic where Clark can be criticized not only for her own actions, but also for how institutions have promoted her, creating a backlash effect. Paige Bueckers, despite her fame, has not been subjected to the same level of scrutiny, possibly because she has maintained a more reserved public profile. The social media echo chamber. Social media plays a powerful role in shaping public opinion, and fan reactions online often exacerbate or magnify perceived inequalities. Clark's name regularly trends on Twitter/X during games, often due to criticism. Her on-court gestures, fouls, or even sideline interactions are dissected in real time. TikTok and Instagram Reels featuring Clark attract millions of views, but the comment sections are often filled with polarized takes. Bueckers, though highly visible, has been somewhat less of a social media lightning rod. She posts less frequently and maintains a lower public profile outside of games. Some fans argue that this lower visibility protects her from criticism. Others say it's a matter of personality. Clark is naturally more fiery and outspoken, which opens her up to more intense scrutiny. Gendered expectations in sports. The treatment of Clark versus Bueckers also reflects larger issues around how society views women athletes. Male players like Stephen Curry, Patrick Mahomes, or Joe Burrow are celebrated for their swagger and boldness. Female athletes, however, often face a tighter rope to walk, expected to be both fierce competitors and polite role models. Clark's expressive style clashes with these outdated norms, which may explain why her actions are more polarizing. Bueckers fits more neatly into traditional expectations of femininity and humility, which earns her more universal praise. The public often embraces female athletes when they're dominant but nice, and recoils when they push boundaries or appear too confident. This double standard is at the heart of many fan reactions. The role of branding and NL deals. The NL, name, image, likeness, era has turned college stars into full-fledged brands. Clark and Bueckers both inked major endorsement deals with Nike, Gatorade, and other top brands. However, Clark has become more of a national figure, with higher-profile TV spots and appearances. This increased visibility has been both a blessing and a curse. With more media exposure comes more scrutiny. Some fans believe that the corporate spotlight on Clark has made her a target for backlash, as any perceived misstep becomes a talking point. Bueckers, while equally talented, has not been pushed into the national spotlight as aggressively, possibly by choice. This more balanced exposure may contribute to a softer public perception. Fan reactions, from admiration to overanalysis. The divide between how fans treat Clark and Bueckers has become so pronounced that it's now a topic in its own right. On platforms like Reddit, YouTube, and podcasts, entire episodes and threads are dedicated to analyzing the Clark effect, why she provokes such strong feelings. Some argue that fans are simply more invested in Clark because she is the bigger star at the moment. Her long-range shooting, fiery demeanor, and leadership style attract attention, for better or worse. Others point to envy, sexism, and the pressure placed on highly visible athletes. As one sports writer put it, Caitlin Clark isn't being treated differently because she's doing anything wrong, she's being treated differently because she's breaking the mold. The media's responsibility. Sports media plays a crucial role in setting the tone for public discourse. How broadcasters talk about athletes, what moments they highlight, and what language they use can shape perception in profound ways. In Clark's case, commentators have at times amplified controversies or focused disproportionately on her reactions rather than her performance. This framing feeds into existing narratives and creates a cycle of overexposure and overreaction. Media outlets need to be aware of these patterns and strive for balanced, nuanced coverage, not just for Clark and Bueckers, but for all female athletes. Conclusion: a mirror of society. The different ways Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers are treated is about more than basketball. It's a reflection of how society handles success, gender roles, and public identity. Both women are elite athletes who have elevated the game, inspired millions, and changed the landscape of college sports. But the disparity in their public treatment forces us to ask, what do we really want from our female athletes? Are we prepared to let women express confidence, ambition, and emotion without labeling them unfairly? As women's basketball continues to rise, so too must our standards for how we talk about its stars. Clark and Bueckers don't need to be pitted against each other. They are not rivals in personality, only in competition. And they deserve to be judged by the same standards. Only when fans, media, and brands embrace this truth can we create a sports culture that is truly equitable.